A poem for Peter from Paul. This shining city, whisk me away into the edge of its glare. It could take forever to find me, forever I stare. Down. The garden at the front of the building flirts with my eyes, and the breeze today dances with the flower petals. I am writing Peter a poem from Paul. It takes quite a lot to impress Peter. He is classy and has much style. His tastes are quite defined and somewhat expensive. Being an appreciator of fine art and literature, Peter will be taken by my own personally original and individual style. My way with words. He is special to me, and I don't mind expressing it. Oh, he will be delighted. I shall take to him myself. No time like the present, I have always said. I stuff the poem into the pocket of my trousers and make for the door. I could put on some clean clothes, something more appropriate for the occasion, but I don't think Peter will mind. Me just popping in and all. I grab my key and slam the door. My plan was to use the steps as usual, but the door of the elevator opens as I pass it. I take advantage. I'm in the corridor of 8 in no time. Peter lives in number 2. Which is a coincidence because I do as well, except only on 5. There's a lot of noise and the air is full of fumes that certainly are not present on my floor. I make my way down to number 2 where I find the door already standing ajar. As I reach out to deliver my arrival's knock, the door is flung open to reveal a man in his 40s holding a paint can and ladder. His overalls are splattered, confessing his day job true. Mr. Painter excuses himself and heads off up the corridor. Good for him. I am left standing solo at Peter's front door, and I believe that I am alone. With caution I take 2 steps in. The room I am standing in is completely unfurnished. Half the walls are dirty, plastered, sanded and partly coloured with undercoat. The rest is freshly painted a light pastel green. Paint cans like the one Mr. Painter was carrying lay about the room here and there with scattered paintbrushes of all sizes. The fumes are much thicker in this room. I sway a little. My head is slightly giddy. I advance into the room and to my delight, Peter's apartment is identical to mine. The bedroom waits to my right, as does mine 3 floors lower, and the kitchen to my left. The kitchen! More work in here. I learn I am not alone. A dirty man holds a stainless steel sink. A dirtier one sits at his feet. Are you Peter? I inquire. The dirty man groans at me. Maybe he works for someone higher up in the food chain. I laugh to myself and he looks confused. I imagine I look quite witty. Are you Peter? This time I question him in a monotone. I hope the beast can understand what I'm trying to get at. He doesn't. He growls. Wasting no time, I lunge at him. I am hugging him tight around his torso. He keeps his grip of the sink. Everything is quiet and I dream about my childhood. Savages have raised this man. He butts me in the face and now I am really giddy. This rash and obviously conscious move has helped me conclude that this is not Peter. But you are not Peter. I drop to the ground. The back of my head hitting the floor feels painfully like deja vu. I know I cannot lay here. Onto my feet, still the dirty man grumbles. There's blood filling my mouth, so I spit it at his face. In his bewilderment, I seize the moment and slug him one right in his belly guts. His face blows up, his lips barely containing a gut full of vomit. Finally his grip fails and the kitchen sink drops, crashing down, possibly crushing each of his 10 dirty toes. This final blow is enough to open the lips of concealment. A flood of vomit comes spewing toward my face. Splat! He looks more sick than he does mad. The sight of me covered in his vomit must not appeal to him. Nor does it I. He unloads another pile of stomach grot onto myself. I am sick. In no time the favour is returned, his overall pockets catching the majority of the wretched muck. It stinks. The dirty man looks mad. Oomph! Ugh. He slugs me, a mighty one, right in the guts. It cripples me over and I drop into a puddle of our wastes. I reach for the poem in my pocket. At its release, I accidentally drop it in the pool that I kneel in. The paper quickly absorbs the moisture and the ink spreads, all the words slowly transforming into one big blot. The poem is ruined. Quickly I scrunch it up in my hand and jump to my feet. Vomit pieces squish under my weight. The dirty man stands in awe in front of me, his arms outstretched, soaked no less than the rest of his body. I am appalled by his appearance and my present state. I have wasted enough time on this beast. Slipping and sliding more than I am running and dodging, I do in time make it to the doorway. I chance a quick look back before I dash. The dirty man has put up no chase. Gutless wimp. I leave the door swinging and sprint the length of the corridor, lining myself up to barge away through the door of the stairwell. Peter must be getting renovations done. Surely it is not an impossibility, especially on his wages. In leaps and bounds I descend the staircase, each landing less stable than the last. Eventually I make it to my floor with no further glitches. I miss Peter so bad. Why did he hire such ugly help? I'm not quite mad at him, more disappointed than anything. Back at my place I strip off the clothing that clings to my body. The stench is unbearable. It takes all my might to fight back the rising fury in my stomach. My throat burns with acidic chunks. My mission has been unsuccessful. Some would say a failure. Peter will never read my poem.